Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. This is Chi with Divine Vibrations with Chi, and welcome to week 3 of my Soul Challenge. So, I am, if you haven't seen it before, doing a program based off some cards off of Dr. Renee Purdy, and it's called the My Soul Challenge. And I've shared this I started this a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing it on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays is my day one of the new week that I'm doing. And it's a 35-week challenge on how to improve one's soul. And you would think, a lot of people feel like, probably a soul change or whatever is a reconstruction of something that is just really out of this world to do, and it's really not. What I'm learning about my soul challenge is that it's the little baby steps, right? It's the little things that we do every day, and they're not like existential and spiritual and yogic and but they are. In a weird kind of way, kind of in a practical kind of way, because actually I think growing one's soul is a practical thing, right? Like, we don't think about it that way, but it is, because you're awakening yourself. You're awakening your energetic body, your soul body, and your chi to what you're really here for, right? And isn't that all what we're really all searching for? So I feel like it's been pretty awesome. So the first week I needed to learn how to say thank you and accept compliments, accept positivity that's coming my way, whether it's someone saying something positive to me or whatever, but learning how to personally accept something positive that's coming in and accepting a positive feedback and saying thank you and appreciating that. So that was week 1. And then week 2 was and this is the practice, the first week was practical as well. And it does grow your soul, right? It felt super great to be able to, without coming back with a retort to somebody like, oh, you look great too, which I often did. It was really hard for me to accept someone saying something nice to me, because I'll be honest, for so long I was in relationships and that people weren't very nice to me. And I was the nice one. And the stimulus that I got was super negative and downgrading. And you would think, well, why would you put up with that? Well, question is, why would any of us put up with that, right? Sometimes we feel, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a partner. It could be a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a cousin. It's somebody close to you, a very good friend. But why do we put up with negative stimulus? Why do we put up with other people's toxic behavior? Well, in some ways, it's because we love them or we care about them more than they care about themselves and more than they care about us, right? And so that's the problem, is learning to love yourself first and learning to appreciate yourself, and also learning to accept positive stimulus when it comes at you and set out those negative stimulus, toxic people, and just, you can love them from afar. You can love them as a human being. You can not hate them. You can forgive them, but you don't have to put up with them in your personal space. You don't have to put up with their dysfunctional stimulus on a daily basis. Love does not mean putting up with somebody's dysfunctional behavior. In fact, it's the opposite of that. So that was one of the reasons why I think I found it hard to accept a compliment from other people, is that I had, for lack of a better term, soaked myself in negative people and allowed negative energies around me, and I was the positive one. And I had to learn, and and those people, when they were giving me a positive compliment, always had some kind of negative twist to it, right? And it was never genuinely really a positive comment from them or genuinely a good comment from them. And so it made me feel kind of some type of way. Anyway, so learning how to accept a compliment was week one. And week two was learning to not use single-use things like straws, plastic straws, and plastic bags, and single-use bottles of water or soda. Or, well, I don't drink soda anymore. I actually gave up soda, and I drink an organic soda every once in a while. That's no added sugars and everything like that if I want it as a treat. But I really try to avoid single use previously. So when it came up as a soul challenge last week, I pushed myself even more to not use, like, for example, Ziploc bags. I used to put extra leftover foods in Ziploc bags, and now I actually have Tupperware that are reusable over and over and over and over again, and not using the Ziploc bags because I didn't actually have Tupperware for a while. So that was one of the things from last week's challenge that I actually advanced in my own life. And you would think, well, how does that help your soul? Well, it helps train us not into being so single use, right? Like, things in this world have they're not permanent. Everything changes and morphs, and so does the things that we use and utilize and throw away. We don't realize how polluting we are to our environment just because of our own conveniences. And by learning how not to be such a pollutant person, I actually feel like it helped me on a soul level with connecting with why I am here and how it is that this energetic body is helping the world versus hurting the world. So I'm going to go to our my soul challenge for the week. But before I do, this is my affirmation. That's good. Let's go fishing for an affirmation. It's a fishing mission. All right. So, what does it say? What does it say? Oh my gosh. I freaking love this one. I complete me. Yep, I do. And that's a huge problem with, feeling complete as an individual. Often, and I'm in the same category. We look towards other people, like in Jerry Maguire, the movie, you complete me. Now, that's kind of a stupid statement. Because nobody else could complete us. We are already a complete person. We are already a complete entity. We came that way. Say that. I came complete. You just had to uncover some of those things that makes you complete. We are already a whole human being. We are already a whole soul body that came here in this body, this physical body, right? And so one dimension of the energy that we are is experiencing this dimension to learn things that we need to learn to enhance the energetic body within so that we can experience other dimensions. At least that's what I think. I could be wrong, but I'm not. So I complete me. I don't need anybody else to complete me. It's really cool if we can all find somebody that understands us, loves and cares about us, that are compassionate towards us, that will treat us with respect, can be loyal, can be understanding, can be there for us in our time of need, maybe, can give us space when we need space, and is respectful of themselves, right? That loves their soul body too, as much as they love their human body. But the problem is that we look for satisfaction and completeness in somebody else. And the reality of the matter is that you're not going to ever find that. You are always going to fall short and be disappointed if you are looking for completeness in somebody else. You have to look within your own soul. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I really like the person that I am, or I really don't like the person that I am, or I like some of the parts of that I am, and then I'd really like to do this, this, and this, and be this way or that way, and then do that. But a lot of us are afraid to look at ourselves, me included, at what we need to do to be a better version of ourselves, to live our best life, to ask the really hard questions, you know? Like for me, it was, why was I always drawn to people that needed fixing? Well, I'm a very empathetic person, and I took on other people's problems more than they took it on for themselves. And so they didn't feel the need to fix themselves at all. And they loved projecting what needed to be fixed onto me, without even realizing that they themselves needed to work on themselves. And that's how it works, right? So I held up a book earlier in the thumbnail, a picture, and I'll bring it out. It's my favorite book. It's right alongside some of the most powerful books I've ever read. And yeah, it's only like 90 pages. 90 pages of amazing information. And I'll share that with you in just a minute. And just a card just went flying. So I'm going to take this card. See what it says here. It says, a no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes merely uttered to please. Mahatma Gandhi. Oh. Mahatma Gandhi is the father of wisdom to me in so many ways. And he lived an amazing life, a very humble life. He did not have a life of attachment. In fact, if you look him up, he gave away all of his things that he physically was not attached to. He wore a loincloth and he carried a stick, and he was a lawyer. He was an Indian lawyer, and he gave away all of his things, and he dedicated his life to the Indian people and a certain way of living, a very essential way of living. And he changed a nation and the world, in my mind, by his boycott nonviolent movement. And I wish that with everything that's going on in our world today, more people would adopt his perspective. And I think that we could change the world if more of us were like Mahatma Gandhi. And he brought down the largest domineering nation in the world, Great Britain, who had taken over India by basically trying to conquer them. And Britain may be considered a great country nowadays, and it has evolved. But Britain was for lack of a better term, an asshole superpower for eons. Hundreds of years, and they basically attacked countries and took them over and raped and pillaged their civilizations. And India was no different. And Britain wanted India's textiles. Britain wanted India's ores like gold and silver and copper and brass. And Britain wanted India's people, right? And to some degree enslave them into working for the British industries and the Industrial Revolution of Britain. And there was spices and all other kinds of things, of course, and that's what our world is all about. You know, you have one more developed nation that is going out and conquering other nations and other peoples and other lands. That's how America was built. If people want to really look at history, there were peoples here on the American continent before the Pilgrims came, and we, again, Britain came to America and pillaged this land. And that is exactly what they did in India. And for many years, Indians were under British rule and the British monarchy. And they wanted them to be Christian. They wanted them to stop practicing Hinduism and Muslim and a lot of the other sects of religion, Buddhism, that were in India. And actually, there are a lot of religious groups in India. There's Jainism. There's, if you look it up, there is. It's actually a hodgepodge of a lot of religions, and they're all accepted and loved there and allowed to practice. And then here comes along the British and tries to tell them, no, you're going to do it this way. Now, strangely enough, I am part Anglo-Indian. So Anglo being the British side. So somewhere along the lines of my family lineage, there was a British person that got together with an Indian person, which also happens as this world proliferates, right? And so I'm part Anglo-Indian as well as Sri Lankan. And on the Sri Lankan side, I have Portuguese, because guess what? The Portuguese also did the same thing that the British did, which is go around, sail around, and try to get spices and conquer and explore new lands and get new trade possibilities, right? So that's just human nature. But Mahatma Gandhi said enough is enough and wanted to unite the people of India that were of different beliefs in different regions. And he did that. And he did that through a nonviolent movement. And that's not to say that the British were also nonviolent. Not true. The British were super violent. They killed people, hundreds of Indians, thousands of Indians for revolting. And the Indians fought back by not fighting, by protesting. And so what they did was they took the number one currency the British needed, which was the textiles industry. They were highly vested in the textiles industry. And so Mahatma Gandhi took everybody, united everybody, which was no small act. He had to actually sit and talk and converse and get people to agree on the joint similarities, right? Instead of the differences in these different secular groups that made up India and different regions that made up India. And there were a lot of monarchs in India also, like different regions had different monarchs as well. And so Mahatma Gandhi united everybody in a common cause, which was we were all Indian and we didn't want to lose India to the British. That although India was a multitude of different people and different things, we were also united in the fact that we were Indian. And so by saying no to the British and saying, we aren't going to be your slaves, we aren't going to produce, a lot of people don't understand, but indigo blue comes from India. And it's a color that is a deep, deep blue. It's like that kind of blue, right? And it's a special kind of dye. And It was very popular, and cotton, Indian cotton and Indian silk was very popular with the British at that time. And so the ships, the trade ships would, bring them over to Britain because, they were such a high demand item. And so the British were making a lot of money off of the Indian people that way. And so Mahatma Gandhi got the people of India to stop producing, stop working, boycotting the textile industries, what we call the cottage industries, which were the small little towns that made different products that were indicative of that region, all stopped producing. And it cut off the head of the snake in a way because they said no with conviction. A no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes merely uttered to please. And Indian people kind of come across as being submissive, right? I don't know if people realize this or not, but they do. They come across as, because they are nonviolent, because they are very passive. People think it's a weakness and take advantage of it. And the British did the same thing. So I'm going to scan my card in for today. Let's see if I can get this right. Hold on. Let's see what my soul challenge is today. So basically what these cards are is they have a barcode. Let me see if I can put it down and do it. They have a barcode. There it is. So it has a barcode at the bottom, and each of the barcodes, if you go into the app that she has, Dr. Purdy has made an app that you can download, and then it gives you your challenge for the week. And so for 7 days, you do the challenge. And this week's challenge is set healthy boundaries. Woo-hoo, I like it. I like it. I've already done that before. So let's see what I can do. And then let's just read what it says. So set healthy boundaries. You say yes in order to please others, even if it means saying no to yourself. I've done that a lot more than I would have liked, right? Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's a form of self-respect that promotes good health, reduces stress levels, and strengthens relationships. Respect your own needs first, and only say yes to others when you're not saying no to yourself. So my challenge inspiration is respect your own needs and limits. Say no if you have to. Listen to your body, because again, our chakras actually are energy wheelhouses that tell us what we need to know. So not only does your crown chakra tell you what you need to know, but more importantly, the one that you really, really, really need to listen to are the lower 3 chakras, which is your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra. And they tell you a lot, actually. You've ever heard, oh, I feel it in my gut. I've got a gut feeling. That's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not just BS. Your gut actually tells you more and guides you more steady than your heart does and your head does. Because your head and your heart can convince you of a lot of different things, but your gut actually helps you with that fight or flight response, and also is tied into your intuitiveness. So listen to your body. Know your worth. So I feel like I am a high worth individual. I have done a lot of work on myself. And for some reason, because of that, I attract low vibrational people that like to be energy suckers off of me, instead of them working on themselves to be a high vibrational person again. Again, I complete me. They complete themselves. You complete yourself, right? But unfortunately, we attract that. And that is kind of like a polar opposite, a positive and a negative magnet, right? It is not opposites attract, because you can be opposite characteristics and attract, but when you're opposite energies and attract, it is not a good thing for either individual. So remember that if you can. Oh, and my suggested daily tasks are: respect my own needs and limits. Don't feel bad about saying no. Take a few minutes for yourself today. Put your needs first today. Give yourself permission to speak up or say no. Set healthy boundaries without feeling guilty. And create your own tasks based on your challenge, which I will for myself. I don't know what task I'm going to do. I'll let you know as I develop it. I'm going to have to think about that. Maybe I'll meditate on it. I meditate at least 3 times a day. I try to. And sometimes more, because meditation isn't necessarily sitting there and going om all the time. And I think a lot of people think it is, but it's not. Sometimes meditation is just a couple minute breathing that we do, a breathing exercise, because that is what meditation is going inward and feeling your inner body, your inner energies, your inner soul, and working with that imbalance in that energy to release any negative stimulus and bring yourself to a more centered, positive stimulus. There is a lot of negative stimulus in the world. If we allow it to bombard us, we will surely experience negative stimulus within ourselves and in our own aura and our own being. And that leads to stress. And stress leads to negative and adverse health conditions. And that leads to death. Not only death of the body, but death of the soul. And that's why we end up in such crappy relationships. And you might feel like, oh, wow, I'm involved with this person in the beginning, and you might be so in love, and you think you're in love. But I honestly feel a lot of times it's with the idea of being in love with somebody. And at first, it's kind of like a high, right? That person is so amazing to you. But if you're not looking out for the red flags and the energy suckers of the world and the people that want to steal your energy rather than give towards you. So you can't give anybody else unless your cup is overflowing, and they can't give unless their cup is overflowing. So if you're always filling somebody else's cup, but nobody is filling yours, which you should be the one filling your own cup. Again, I complete me. And if they're filling their own cup, guess what? Everybody's cups are overflowing, and they can share and they can give towards each other. But when one person's cup is always empty and they're needing you to pour into their cup all the time, this arm gets tired pouring into somebody else's cup all the time, right? So I really love this week's challenge. I'm super excited about it. Again, the quote is from Mahatma Gandhi: "A no uttered from the deepest conviction is better than a yes merely uttered to please." I super love that one. And I should have said a lot of no's that I did not. And should have said yes to myself a whole lot more. And I could have maybe even avoided some pain, but maybe not. You can't go back and you can't change those things. And that's what I also realized, is that you can't take back the past. You have to appreciate what you learned from it. And if you don't appreciate what you learned from the past experience and grow from it, then you'll continue to repeat that same mistake because you did not learn the lesson. And for me, it was, I needed to stop being a people pleaser. I needed to stop being so nice. I can still be nice to myself and nice to them and still say no, right? And that takes me to my next little tool that I have. So this is that book I was mentioning, and it's written by a Buddhist monk. His name is Thich Nhat Hahn, and he's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he has written this book and many other books. I love his books. What's the other one? Let me just grab it here. It's How to Fight. And it's the art of argument. Let me tell you, there is no argument when you learn how to fight. Because let's be honest, we're not always going to agree. This world is all about fighting. Whether it's fighting for your right to say no or yes to yourself or to negative stimulus. But this is what he looks like. And he is amazing. Actually, Martin Luther King Jr. had nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. And so how Master Hahn met Dr. King was that they started corresponding to each other because at the time the Vietnam War was going on, and then the civil rights movement was going on here in the United States. And they both connected on the fact that they were both nonviolent boycottism. So the monks in Vietnam were against the whole division of the Vietnamese people and through the Vietnam War. And Dr. King was against the segregation of people of color and Caucasians. And so they started corresponding with each other and then had a mutual respect for each other's missions and movements. And Master Hahn wrote a book called True Love. And this, you would think, is a book about loving somebody else. Nope. This book is about self-love. It's about loving yourself. It's about the practice of awakening your own heart to who you are and your soul purpose. And yes, it does share how you can be towards others. But, excuse me, allergies. That was me clearing my throat chakra, speaking my truth. Thank you, universe. But that book, I gifted that book to a lot of people. In fact, I think I've gifted it like at least 5 or no, more than that. Maybe even almost 10 times. It doesn't cost a whole lot. It's like $6 or $7, $6.99. And the best $6.99 I've ever spent. But I love that book, and it really talks about the tenets of loving yourself. And there's 4 aspects of love, he says, and he goes over them. And some other things. And I recommend this. If you want to find a way to complete yourself and you want to find your way towards self-love and you want a beginning, that's the best 90 pages of a great beginning. So I'm going to pull some Om cards today. So I have these little Om cards, and they have little messages on them. And I'm just going to pull out a couple that I feel like the universe wants us to say or know. Maybe words of the day. Let's see, there's that one. I like that. Those, oh, there's 2 right there. We're going to take those. Let's see. What is today? Let's pull I like the number 6. Let's pull 6 of them. I've got 5 so far. All right. And they're colors of the chakra, so I just absolutely love that. So the first one is be with nature. You can see that one. And the front of them is really cool because it has like little Om symbol. So I don't know if anyone knows this, but Om, and when you say the word Om correctly, Om is the vibration of creation and the universe and the Most High. So that's why Hindus and Buddhists and many people that meditate say Om a whole bunch of times. I can't, not for a long time, but but you go Om. And apparently the vibration of Om is a connection to the vibration of the universe. And so that's where Om, that's why a lot of people are connected to Om. There are other sounds that connect us to different vibrations in the universe, but Om is pretty popular with a lot of people because of the fact that it's connected to the universe itself and the creation of the universe and the vibration of the universe. So, soften and open. I am heard. What's under that? What's under this? Good question. Validate your choices. We don't always do that, do we? And the last one, be supportive. Let's see if you can see that. Be supportive. Be supportive of yourself. You complete you. I complete me. So that's it for today. I hope you guys liked my video today. And if you do, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications of when I upload new videos. I try to go live every day. Not always do I get around to it. Sometimes things do come up in my life, so I apologize. But I try to put out a positive message every day, Monday through Friday. And hopefully that helps somebody out there. But thank you so much for joining me, whomever you are that watches that doesn't ever comment. And hopefully other people will also be interested in it. Please like, subscribe my videos, and have an amazing day. See you next time. Namaste.